Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. How are you doing today? I want to talk about my favorite rarity. My favorite rarity inside the game is now Epic, man. All the good champions out of this year, well, not all, but most of them were inside the Epic rarity. It feels like Epic is the new rare. I'm going to be conducting, by the way, a Plarium interview coming up later this week. Hopefully, fingers crossed, finally. And one thing I'm going to ask him about is, what's up with the uncommon and rare champions? Have you guys decided to just make every new uncommon, common, and rare champion just absolute trash in 2021? Because I feel like that has been the case, maybe with a few exceptions, maybe Abyssal, maybe Odachi and the Shadowkin, but everybody else is really trash, and even those two champions are certainly nothing like the upper echelon rare champions inside the game. Anyway, a lot of new epics. So I'm going to talk about 10 epics that were added, obviously this year, but more recently this year. I'm going back around 6 months in this video, so I won't be including champions like Deacon Armstrong, Godseeker, Aniri, those champions that were added in the very early 2021. We've already talked about them. I think that most of you guys are acquainted with those champions. So this will be, again, mostly the last 6 months or so. In fact, the oldest champion we talk about in today's video will be the first champion. And this was Jiskar the Seagull. He was added around 6 months ago, 5-6 months ago to the game. And I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him. He has incredibly high defense, good base stats all around the board here. And he was nerfed before he was released. And people reacted way, or they overreacted way too strongly about that nerf. Originally, his A2 was not a 3-turn cooldown when booked, it was a 2-turn cooldown, right? An AoE provoke with a shield on himself. This ability on a 3-turn cooldown is still incredibly good, right? On his A1, he has decreased attack. So this is a defense-based champion who's bringing decreased attack to the table on his A1. He's bringing a provoke, an AoE provoke, and a shield on himself on a 3-turn cooldown at a 75% land rate on an A2. On his A3, he has increased defense and increased attack on a 3-turn cooldown. Man, this guy's really good, right? And then he has fills the champion turn meter by 15% whenever they are attacked by an enemy under provoke, which is happening a lot, or an increased attack buff. Really cool champion, very good champion, really better than a lot of legendaries in the game. And for whatever reason, just because that ability got nerfed before his release, a lot of people were like, forget it, man, he's trash, he's not for me. Man, he's still a very solid champion inside the game. Can help a lot of accounts, especially with that increased defense and increased attack on a 3-turn cooldown and the provoke. I mean, he's bringing enough to the table, which justifies a lot of players currently focused on progression or anywhere they need a provoker. All right, next up is going to be another one of these Shadowkin faction champions. Can you guess? It's Jinbo the Dishonor. This guy's a beast. I did do a video guide on him. He's an incredible champion. He leads off with his A3, where he puts increased crit rate, increased crit damage on himself, then grants an extra turn. He goes into his A2, killing anybody and everybody. And then he has this cool passive as well. Very hard-hitting A2 on a 3-turn cooldown. This passive, immune to decreased attack, and will ignore unkillables when under increased attack. Had a lot of fun with this champion on the video guide that we did on him. If you want to see more from Jinbo the Dishonored, go ahead and check that video out, guys. One of my favorite champions. He might be my favorite epic added this year. I do reserve the right to change my mind, but he's definitely up there. An arena specialist, but really good in the arena. All right, next is going to be two champions right next to each other, actually.
What are you waiting for?
Gorlos Helma. So a few of you guys made a comment when we talked about Gorlos in kind of one of my reviewing every epic champion in the game videos, and someone was like, dude, you're sleeping on Gorlos. I gave him some credit. I was like, he's a pretty good champion, but this guy actually can dish out an insane amount of damage as well. Because the first thing I look at when Gorlos, he has an AoE decreased defense. The first question I ask myself is, if I have Gorlos Helma and Stag Knight, why am I ever investing in or using Gorlos Helma? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's if you have Stag Knight, but you have Gorlos, but you're looking for a serious damage dealer. This guy is like a Antalesia of a Spirit Affinity defense breaker AoE, right? As a matter of fact, let me just pull up his multipliers right here for you guys to see. So check this out, guys. He has a 1.95 on his A1, whatever. But on the AoE, a 4-time multiplier on an AoE attack is pretty solid. Then his A3 has a 6-time multiplier. 6-time multiplier with turn meter fill in there as well. Very underrated damage dealer in Gorlos Helma. You see him in a lot of these speed teams as a debuffer because he can nuke, and of course, he can land the decreased defense, be your debuffer on your team. So Gorlos, a lot of people sleep on Gorlos. He has a lot to offer in terms of his overall damage output. We're going to talk about another champion just like this in Magic Affinity after Magnar. So Magnar, man, oof. I said that Jinbo was my favorite added this year, my favorite epic. Magnar is right there with him, right one little sliver below. I just love Jinbo. Something about him, just everything aesthetically, I love that champion.
What about me? I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
But man, Magnar can just, he can nuke. He can drop the nuke hammer just like no other champion in the game other than maybe Trunda. This ability, right? Percussive Pound attacks all enemies. Extra hit on enemies without HP burn debuffs. For the arena, man, he has a stun on enemies under HP burn debuffs. But for the arena, as I was saying, we don't care about the HP burn. We want to hit 2 times and just absolutely destroy everybody. God-like damage from this A2. It is really a legendary-esque in terms of the damage that he puts out. And he's an epic champion, guys, and he's HP based, so he's easy to keep alive, good on a go second nuking team, or just good as your main arena nuker, especially if you don't have the OP Trunda. More people need to use Magnar because he was also part of a fusion, so a lot of people have him out there. He is just an insanely good champion. Really, I mean, he's my number 2. He's my number 2. All right, moving along here, maybe my number 3 added this year is going to be, and I've talked about him here on the channel before, so many people sleeping on Siege Hulk. Siege Hulk. First of all, his defense very low, his HP pretty low. He's fragile. But this guy, in terms of damage, let me take a look at his multipliers here. In terms of damage, he is absolutely just a behemoth, right? A 3.1 multiplier on his A1, right? Very, very good. On his A2, a 3.5 on an AoE, but he has increased attack, and he has increased crit rate and increased crit damage, all that he's putting on himself on a 5.7 multiplier on his A3. So the multipliers are a little lower, again, compared to Gorlos, who we just talked about, but he has the increased attack on himself and the increased crit rate, increased crit damage. So he's adding all those buffs to himself, which will allow him to hit even harder, right? Especially if you don't have those buffs on the team. And he has the decreased defense on all enemies on a 3-turn cooldown. Siege Hulk is God, man. I mean, I have him, I built him, and he's one of my best damage dealers on the account, especially compared to other decreased defense champions. He is really insane. If you're looking for a really solid AoE nuker that you're not going to be disappointed with in any way, look no further than Siege Hulk. All right, and next one, we're already here on the screen, is Irrigrim. Irrigrim, man, even after his nerf, which is a dirty nerf. Dirty nerf, Plarium, nerfing Irrigrim right after everybody went out and got him and maxed him out.
Whose idea was this anyway?
A dirty move. I hated it. He's still really good, though. He had a 3-hitter on his A1 with poisons on every hit. Now it's only 2-hitter. You get rid of the Giant Slayer, replace it with War Master Mastery on him. I think I'm too lazy. I haven't even done that yet. But he has a debuff remover, excuse me, if I can speak. Debuff remover on the A2 and a heal. And then he has the 2 poisons and the continuous heal on a 4-turn cooldown. It used to be a 3-turn cooldown. He's still very good, though. So he has the poisons on all enemies, continuous heal, the big version for 2 turns on all allies. It's still an insanely effective kit, very good kit. Void affinity as well, so there's no like bad affinity matchups for him, obviously. And he has speed in all battles by 20%, man. Irrigrim is still very, very good champion. I'm still a big fan of him. All right, so there is one lizard man that I wanted to talk about in today's video. It's Skatics. Skatics is a really good champion as well, guys. He has on his A1 decreased speed. You love to see it. On his A2, he has an AoE chance of stealing a random buff. Hey, what's better than removing buffs? Stealing buffs. And then on the A3, this is what we're talking about here. It's a cleanse on a 4-turn cooldown with block debuffs and a shield on all allies. The shield equal to 20% of his max HP. So a great ability, right? We get the cleanse, we get the shield, we got block debuffs for 2 turns, right? And then plays a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever his HP drops below 30%. A very, very good support champion added this year. All right, let's keep it moving here, guys. Gonna talk about I did a guide on her as well, and boy, what's this? What's annoying me here? What's this red mark here on my Oh, okay. He was added this year, but I'm not a big fan of him. He's all right. Thylesia. What is Thylesia? Why am I totally drawing a blank as to her faction? Thylesia is she nice, Reverend? Is she nice? Yes, she is. I'm an idiot. We're right there anyway, Ash. Thylesia, we did a guide on Thylesia. She's, again, we've talked about this. Now it's a reoccurring theme here on 3 of these champions, right? She's a decrease defense champion, AoE decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, who dishes out just an absurd amount of damage. And then she has increased the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. That pairs so well with any debuff in the game, right? Change your debuffs from a 3-turn cooldown lasting 2 turns to a 3-turn cooldown lasting 3 turns on every other ally that you have on the team. Their debuffs are going to last longer. Pair her with a champion like Bellower, block cooldown skills, that will extend as well. It's a very, very good synergistic kit that was added, plus a ton of damage as well. Very, very good addition to the game. Let's move over into the dwarf category here, and let's talk about Dematia. Dematia, a new block damage champion. So good for unkillable comps. Block damage on all allies for 1 turn with a continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown. Now we're talking. She also has the increased duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn, decrease the duration of all debuffs, or of all ally debuffs, by 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown with a heal. And then she has a shield on the ally with lowest HP on her A1. A very, very good support champion. Obviously has a natural place in clan boss teams and unkillable teams all over the game. A very, very good, most recent addition to the game. I think, is that everybody that I have? No, I have one more for you guys. And he is, I almost feel like he should be an honorable mention. There's 2 of them. Let's give two champions a tie for number 10 here on the channel. And it is Dur the Hunger. So if you don't have Duchess and you're struggling with Demon Spawn, or you're working on Demon Spawn Faction Wars, you're SOL, man. You're struggling. You don't have a good reviver. So they added Dur the Hunger, who is a reviver in the Demon Spawn faction. Much needed. He's not a trash champion. He's a good champion. Reflect damage, continuous heal, and a heal on a 3-turn cooldown. He has a stun on the A1. So overall, very, very good kit. Very good champion. But the 2 random ally reviver on a 4-turn cooldown, much needed in the Demon Spawn faction. Same thing for the Skinwalkers, right? We got 2 really, really important revivers in Horfees the Tusk this year. He has revived 2 random allies on a 5-turn cooldown. He has strengthened on all allies as well, with the turn meter fill of 50% after revival. Having that strengthened, to me, it justifies bringing it from a 4 to a 5-turn cooldown when booked. So 2 important revivers added in Skinwalkers and Demon Spawn. Both factions really needed it this year, so I'm super happy to see that as well. So those are 10 champions added in the last 6 months or so that I am big, big fans of. Let me know who I forgot. What champion did I not mention that you are really, really high on that was added, in the recent months here to the game? Or what champion that I'd include on the list that you were just low on, that you built maybe and you were underwhelmed with? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.